Hello and welcome to another video on Microsoft Fabric. And today we are going to discuss what are the various ways you can take your local file to Microsoft Fabric and use it. Now this is one of the common question you are asking on the YouTube channel, so I have decided to have a video on that. So to do that, let's jump onto the app.powerbi.com, which is also Fabric. I am using a Fabric trial which I have enabled from my login, and I've also enabled the Fabric for my tenant using the tenant setting under the admin portal. For today's video, I'm going to create a new lake house and I'm going to use that. To do that, I will go to my workspace, which is the workspace 001 Fabric workspace, and I'm going to use that to do today's task. Because I will use a new lakehouse, let me tell you how to create that. Click on the new, go to show all. The first option you see under the data engineering is lakehouse. Click on the lakehouse. You will get a pop-up, and in that one we will say upload Excel test. Now it doesn't mean that you always need it. Just because my lake houses are getting overloaded with the too many names, and for a video I may not be able to show you all the things clearly. That is why I am doing it. It doesn't mean there is a limitation of number of tables what you can bring in and all those. That is, there is no nothing like that. So it's just because I want to show a clear example, I am doing this, or I am taking this approach. Okay, now the first way is when you reach to your lakehouse after the creation, or when you open your lakehouse from your Fabric workspace, you can come here and you can click on upload file. Once you click on upload file, you will get an option here on the right hand side, and this flow might have changed a little bit. So you click on this folder and you will go, and I have a file on my Dropbox which I might have shared location with you, or otherwise I'll share in my this file. This is the CSV file, retail data fabric, which is also available on my GitHub with a little bit smaller size. This is the file actually I want to upload here, and I'll say upload. I'm not using overwrite if the file already exists, because this file did not exist, and I'm knowingly using a little bit bigger file and want you to observe how quickly the file data is getting loaded. Remember, I am not on a really fast internet connection. It is just the normal broadband connection where I am in, but in spite of that, you can see how quickly this file is getting loaded. So let this loading complete, and then we will see what happens to this file, where actually it lands in our lakehouse. So the file loading is complete. I'm going to close this upload window, and if you come here, you can see this file is here, and you will also be able to preview the data once you click on that. So it did not went over table part. Now if I go here, I right click, I have an option load to table. So I can click here, and if everything is fine in my table, like there is no space in my column names, there is no enter in my column names or special character, it should be able to convert this into a Fabric table. This is the first way I'm telling you. Okay, now once that happens, I am going to tell you the second way. The second way is using a data pipeline. I can convert it. Okay, so it has converted. I'm expecting it to be shown into the table. So I'm going to refresh it, and you can see this is a table. Now once this file is here, I have another way which I can use is I can create a pipeline, and using that pipeline I can convert this into a table also. So for that, what you have to do is you have to say get data and click on a pipeline. A new pipeline will open, and let's call it lake to lake table, and I say create. I need to do the copy command. So once this menu option open up, so pop-up has opened now, and the next thing which I need to do is I need to select my lakehouse, and from the lakehouse I need to take my file. So let me select this lakehouse. You can see it here, And once you take the lake house, click on the next, and don't press the escape. For the demo I have to press that, but don't do that. And say upload Excel test, next. And then I'll say file instead of table. So I should see all my files. So I see this file, and I should say first row as header, because first row is header and it's generating a preview. I can wait for that preview to get generated, or if I'm confident I can move forward, but anyway it's not showing the next button, so we have to wait. So I say next, and then I say what is my target. I say my target is again my lake house. So I selected the lake house here, right side, look at the third row, second last option. Then I say next, and then I say to existing lake house, I'm going to do it in the same lake house. And then I say next. What do you want? It is a table or file? It is already as a file, so I'm going to say table, and I'm going to call it retail DP, means via data pipeline. So that's why I'm calling it retail DP. Append or overwrite, I'll say overwrite anyways. My data is a static kind in this nature, but if you are bringing in data which is basically can be appended every time, then you should use the append option. Do I want to start the transfer immediately? I'm saying no, because I want to check out, is there any problem with my data? I would like to create the mapping. I want to create the correct data types. That's why I'm doing that. So once it opens, I will click on copy data. If you are not able to see, look at this option, change the size of your graph here, and you click on this. This will bring in all your components into the middle. Now you click on that. Journal, source, all these, just check it out. They should be all right. Destination should all be right. Mapping is something which I'm going to import. And I'm going to say import mappings. And then I need to correct it. So I'm going to quickly correct it. And this is this very similar stuff which we do. Order ID I'm going to leave. This is going to be date time. Item ID is in 64. Item number I'm going to leave. Subcategory I'm going to leave brand, unit price, discount percentage is double. Gross sales is double. Discount is double. Unit cost is double. Requested date is date time. Delivery date is date time. And this is important because this will allow us to immediately start our analysis. Customer ID, again I can make it as int 64. Now it sometimes gives me this warning, and I usually know my file has some problem here in the customer ID. So I just go ahead and delete some of those. But check out, there should not be any space in any of the names. Right now, Lakehouse don't support that. So everything seems fine. We save it. And we run this. You should validate first. So click on validate. The validate button is here. So this is the validate button. These are the save buttons, and this is the run button. Next one is run. Now once I run it, it will started showing here on the top, and then it will start showing it in the bottom also in the output. So it's running right now. So as you see now, it is seeing it is in processing. Little bit bigger file, but I'm expecting it to finish in few seconds if there is no error. Now if there is some data problem, it will error out. It will tell us what error it is, and we need to fix that error. And I can manually refresh it and check it out. Now already 32 seconds has passed to load this file. So now this is a different process than what we have done, but process is different, but the outcome is same. In this case, we have used the data pipeline. So don't just think it is a lakehouse. It can be anywhere, wherever the data pipeline can be used and the data is there. And this is how you going to bring it as a table into the lakehouse. Now this is succeeded. So we should be able to see another table. So we'll go to our lakehouse, and our lakehouse is upload Excel test started showing a shortcut on this side. So these are the recent one which has been shown here these days, and you can see I have two tables now, and the second table is something which I have just now got it because of the data pipeline. Now, what are my other options? So other option is data flow gen 2, which I'm going to use. So I will go again to my workspace, which is 01 fabric, and I'll go to new, and in that one I'm going to use data flow gen 2 to check another flow. How can I do that? Now here again I have two ways. I can pick up the file which is already been loaded, means instead of data pipeline I can use that, or I can directly import an Excel file. Now when I import the Excel file, right now what it is doing, and I'll show you that, is basically when I do that, that is why it is showing. So let me take in Excel file. Now I am uploading an Excel file now from the uh, so good thing with the data flow is that it can directly take an Excel file and we don't have to do. Now what it does is basically it upload it to SharePoint. I have already logged an idea that it should not load to a SharePoint, it should directly load it into the staging of this one. So we should be given an option. There is no need of SharePoint now in this scenario, because we have a staging storage available for the Dataflow Gen 2 inside the Lakehouse. So it should use that. It has only one sheet, so I'm going to click on that, and it has spaces and everything which I need to correct, and I can load it. So I need to quickly fix this. Wherever there is a space, data type, very after a very recent change, most of the time it do detect the correct data type, so I don't have to fix it in, at least in Dataflow Gen 2. And also date data type is supported. Some of those who are not aware that very recently the date data type also got supported, so we don't have to bother much about that. It's date, it's not going to work, but by default it is setting it to date time, but we can change it to date if required. So now this time I have loaded an Excel file and I have loaded it to Dataflow, and from the Dataflow I can write it. Now that CSV file which I have loaded, I can also get that here in my Dataflow, and I can translate that into a table using this one. So you can click on more for that, and you can say I want to bring something from Lakehouse. You can say next. So inside the fabric, let me open my Lakehouse upload Excel test, and from there I will should be able to take up my file. Let's open it further, and I go to files, and I take this CSV file. Okay, and I'll say leave it like this. I say create. So here I need to make it as use first row as headers. Now you might have observed the difference between the way when we have taken it as a pipeline versus when we have taking it with in the data flow. So now I've taken that. Now I need to rename both. I don't know what to rename here, but let me call it as RT1, and this is fine I think with me. So RT1, and this is one, and the second one, because I don't have any uh, changes there, because that's a CSV file which I already made for Fabric. So I don't need any changes. The only thing which I need to do is I need to add the destination now for both the files. So I'm going to add destination. There are two options. One is under the home tab, add destination on the top, and one is at bottom. Both I have highlighted. Both does the same job. So let's click on first one of them and say Lakehouse. Right now I wanted to load it to Lakehouse. Those who wanted to load it to warehouse, they can use the alternate which I have suggested on another day. and we are going to upload it to upload Excel test, and we are going to say next. Append or replace, I prefer replace. Just need to check out that all the columns are available with the data types. Fine, they are there. Then I press next, and I think I did not change the table name, so let me go back and do that. Okay, table name is RT1, that's fine. So here we should be able to see here table name RT1. Now if I go for this one, I click down Lakehouse, connection will automatically be taken, and this is the biggest advantage I like. I don't have to mention it again and again, it got saved. And let me call it retail CSV data flow DF. Okay, so we remember that. Okay, this is there, and we need to do this in Fabric, upload Excel, Lakehouse, replace, all set. Let's publish it. Publish button is below. It's going to take a little bit time to publish it, and then it will automatically start the loading of data. And we can observe the entire action here on the data flow 2. So this GIF which is rotating here, the loading GIF, it will move from here to this place once the publish is complete. So if there is any error at the time of publish, it will show triangle like this. If you can see, I face some issues, and if there is an issue while running the ETL, it will show a triangle at this position. So let me highlight these two. This is when your publish fails, this is when your ETL fails, and let me show you these things. Okay, so, and you might observe that the gears have been shifted. Now the GIF is coming here, and let me remove this so that you can observe it. So it's getting loaded, and once it is getting loaded, we will go to our Lakehouse and check what data we got, and we will try to analyze that on Power BI. But that is the beauty. The moment we get the data, we can analyze it on Power BI. The uploading icon has stopped, so time for us to check is it loaded correctly or not. So let's click on the three dots, refresh history, and look at this one, and it is telling us that the data has been loaded successfully. This is the time it has taken. This is the time to load both the files, from one from the SharePoint, another from the Lakehouse. We have done both the jobs together. One was coming from Excel, another was CSV, both local files. We have bring it to our Lakehouse. Now let's look at our Lakehouse, what is lying there. So I click on this shortcut which has been created, and I'm expecting two additional files. Now this sometime you may face this undefined as soon as the load finish, and if you come here, you can refresh it. It may take few seconds because it take little bit time to generate the SQL endpoint where it start interacting with this one. So these are the two tables, and let's look at the preview. So this is the first table, this is the second table. Now I can easily go to my SQL endpoint. Now SQL endpoint I can go via the workspace, or I have a shortcut here. The right hand side top, if you can observe here, from here to here, if you can observe, you have this SQL endpoint, means I will be able to write down the query. I can change my model, I can create new measures, and also create new report, all from this UI. Just to showcase you how to simply you can run a SQL, right click on the table and say new SQL, select 1000 rows. Now I'll get 1000 rows from this one. So let me run this query. 100 rows, we don't have 1000 rows option here. I'm from the desktop, so as SQL Server Management Studio is basically always gives you 1000 option. So I say I would like to select category, and let's say sum of something. Let's bring in sum of gross sales. Gross, and then remove everything else, and say category group by category. Don't press alt enter here. I know in Power BI we have habit of pressing alt enter to get into the new line. Don't do that here. Enter works. Alt enter runs. It is saying incorrect syntax, comma is missing. So we got the answer. But why do you need to run the SQL? You can go to Power BI. Now the icon is lost on the top. If you see, then you will ask where it is. So I'll tell you, go back to data, below data, and then you got this new report. All the all the four tables, we can go ahead and do it. We can create visuals individually and analyze it. This is the same data which is there. Now there could be a little bit difference in all these datas, one in the Excel and one in the CSV. But if they are coming from CSV, both the tables, the answer should be same. So let me bring in category and let me bring in sales. This is my RT1. This was the CSV, or this was the other one. Okay. Now let's bring in category, and I'm bringing in from the same table. There are no common dimensions here. So I'm going to bring them, and let me bring sales. So another one, two tables we have covered. Let me bring in the third one, category, sales. Okay, good that I have all the four table which has same data. Let's test the fourth one. Let's test gross. Okay, fine. Things seems are working fine here. So you can also go ahead and try these things out. So we have bring the local file, the CSV in the data pipeline. We have also bought the Excel file into data flow gen 2, and we have put that into data lake in both the cases. So why don't you go ahead and try this out, and do let me know what else you want me to consider in this particular series. Thanks for watching this video. Thank you.